Good afternoon and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. This is day 19 of 30 Days of Sketches and Scraptember, and this is the sketch I'm going to do today. So 30 Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life has combined with Scraptember and Laura Alberts and the Scrappy Sisters. So Christy gives the sketch, and Laura and the Scrappy Sisters, Jess and Katie, come up with a prompt. So the sketch has a couple of different pattern papers, some journaling space, a title, some big embellishments, 4 3.5 by 2.5 photos, and some other little this and that's, borders. And then the prompt is something old from your stash. So the something old from my stash was not a problem to determine that I had that. It was a matter of narrowing down what from my stash I was going to use. So today I decided that one of the pictures that I had 4 of that I could cut down, it's not 3.5 by 2.5. I've cut them down to, I believe they are just under 3 by 3.5. So they're close. And then 2 of them are a little smaller. So these are pictures from my son going back to school. It's not the first day of school. They had a outdoor get to meet your teachers kind of thing. They had food trucks and stuff. So that is what I've got. Those are the pictures. And then this is my something old, or one of them. So this is a Heidi Swapp Hello Beautiful collection, and I pulled at least 2 papers out of here, I think. And this is from 2014. I got this at Tuesday morning, and I have not used anything out of here. Like, everything is still in this kit, and it's lovely paper. And I don't know why I've not used it, but you know, it's one of those things, you get it, you stick it somewhere, and you forget you have it. And I use a lot of solids. Until the last 6 months, I've used a lot of solid papers and not as much pattern, but I have been expanding due to all these fabulous videos, and scrapbookingwithannemarie.com has really encouraged me to use more pattern paper and be adventurous. So I have 2 pages out of here that I'll be using as part of this. I also, for old stash, have a couple of I'm using, since it's going back to school, I have this box, and this box is all school related things. Now, some of it is new. I got a bunch of stuff at Hobby Lobby when it went on sale at the end of the school year. So I have that stuff, but most of that is not included except in this pile. I'm trying to use as much of my older stash as possible. So this is from the dollar store when they had Miss Elizabeth's, which was, I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago. This is the last sticker I have on here, and I thought this could be a good title because it's not his first day to school. I almost titled it Back to School, but it's not his first day of school. It's just a day that he went and he actually got to see some of his friends, which is one of the pictures. So I'm either going to use this one that says Best Friends or this one. Haven't decided, but these are all super old, and I have no idea where that came from. And then these are not old to me, but they are old, and I can tell because this is yellowed back here some. It's Creative Cafe, and I think, I'm almost positive I'm going to use one or both of these blue border strips and maybe the little tags that go with it if it's called for, but I'm pretty sure that's part of that. So it is old stash. It's just not necessarily old to me. I think I just got it about a month ago. This is also old to me, and I don't know where I got it, but I have 2 of them, and I'm trying to use them up as best as possible. I used one on another one of my 30 Days of Sketches, so now I'm going to try and use up some more of it. Pretty sure I'm going to use this and this. We'll see if I can pull anything else in, but those are the goals, is to get those 2 things used up because the colors go with what I'm looking at doing. So this is one of the papers that I pulled from the Heidi Swapp. And this is stickers from Paper Studio. So these are just from this past year, or well, from 2019. So they're not old, they're new to me. I just got them. And this is also new to me this year from Michael's Recollections-Lunchbox Friends. So this is some interesting paper. If you've never seen it, I've never seen paper with dancing fruits and vegetables and waffles. But I found creative ways to be able to use some of this without having all the weird stuff in it. So I think you'll see 3 things out of here. So now with all this and these fabulous pictures and this layout and prompt, here we go. We'll see what happens. All right, so this took me a little longer than I anticipated because it is sometimes hard when I look at a sketch to determine how big something is. Like, I like sketches sometimes that will say, cut a 10 by 9 sheet of paper. So when it's like this, I know it is so you can do what you see on the layout and not like be super specific. But sometimes I wish it would say this page has this size paper, but that's okay. So I decided to use a craft paper as my base since I had enough color coming in from the other papers and embellishments. So I got the craft paper, and I do beat around in my head whether or not I would like to trim that paper down and mat it on a solid. If I did, I believe it would be the red that you'll see coming up with the part of the title part. But I still have not done that. I'm still looking at my layout as I do this voiceover and determining whether or not I would like that. So this sheet of paper I've got right here is from the Heidi Swapp Hello Beautiful collection. I'm trying to decide how big I want it to be across on the width. So I cut it down and trim off like one of the little sides of the paper and determine that this looks good to me. The pictures were matted on another piece of the Heidi Swapp Hello Beautiful, and I brought pink in because my son is wearing a bright pink piglet shirt that I made him for our trip to Disney World. So when I go to look at my second page that I'm going to put at the bottom, I realize that if I trim it even with what's at the top, it's going to be splitting part of the alphabet in half. Like one stripe of letters would be cut in the middle. And I didn't want that. So I cut off the letters down the side. I think it's like A-M something or another. And A-G-M. So then I pick... Look, my words are not coming out. I'm struggling with this voiceover as much as I struggled with getting this right here laid out and fixed. I mean, seriously. Okay, I laid down the first piece and the second piece and made it even on one side. So I knew exactly how much I'd need to cut off so they'd be an even width. Now, that is not hard to say. Why did I not get all that out? Now, cutting this off, on the other hand, I should have put it down in my trimmer instead of using scissors because I suck with the scissors. I am not ashamed to say I cannot cut a straight line. Even with guides sometimes, I have the hardest time. It's always wonky, and then I'm OCD, so I gotta cut like all the little bitty pieces off that just make it a little wonky. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I get this done, and between the two, it is now measuring about 10 1/4 down the page. And let me measure while I'm doing this. Almost 10 1/2 wide. So I am going to tape this down, and I feel like that's enough of a border. Even if I decide to trim, I have enough brown or khaki that I can trim and still mat on another page if I decide to do that. I still haven't gotten that far in my head. So I am trimming off a little of the bottom so that there's not that big white gap, because I don't want it to be, I don't want it to take over the entire piece of khaki paper. I wanted to stick to the layout or the sketch as kind of as close as possible because I really like it. It's a neat sketch. And I do, I mean, mine is a little wider than what I would assume theirs is, more like 8 inches deep. So mine is a couple inches wider and longer than theirs is. So, you know, you got to change a sketch up to fit what you want, and that is what I did. So I got all that matted down, and I got my pictures matted down. And part of the reason I trimmed some of that white off the bottom is because the strip of pictures is supposed to be wider, or taller, than the paper that you've matted it on, like the background paper. So I trimmed that a little because of that, because I couldn't trim the top because it would mess up the lines from that graph paper. So I get the pictures down, and I'm loving them. I love this so far. I'm excited, and then I realized, oh, I'm supposed to tuck in this journaling space, and you taped it down. Yeah, big doofus. I do this all the time. All the time. So this piece of paper that I am using for my journaling space and to put my title on is from that Lunchbox Recollections paper. I cut it out of the middle of a piece of paper that had, I think, a waffle. Oh, no, pizza. There's pizza pieces all over the page. All around the border is pepperonis and mushrooms and peppers, and a piece of pizza that's dancing. It's crazy paper. So this red piece that I am using, I had cut out of my Cricut. It was a speech bubble, and I cut the little swoop off at the bottom because I didn't need a speech bubble. Nobody's saying anything. Although I guess my son could have been saying school is cool, but I doubt it. Not in front of his friends, at least. So I decided, I put that down and tucked it in. And then I decided I wanted school is cool to be popped up on some foam, so it gives some dimension, because as of now there's no dimension on this page. So I matted it on that same blue paper, the pizza paper. As you can see, I am trimming that out now, and I fiddled with this a little longer than I should have. I'm not kidding. I can be so OCD with stuff. I don't want anything that is supposed to be curvy to have a point. I mean, look how long I'm going to spend on this one little spot. Ridiculous, people. Ridiculous. So I put foam strips that I got from the dollar store on the back, and I'm going to pop that up just where they have it in the sketch, right below the border strip. Oh, you know, the one I haven't put in yet. On that red speech bubble that I tucked in behind the pictures. I swear. It's a good thing I watched this. And yes, I did almost put that upside down, because that is so me. And I spent, see, I'm trimming it again. I'm so sorry, you all. I'm so sorry. So I decided I want it to overlap a picture a little. Not a lot, just a little bit. It's just a tip of it. And so now I'm getting these borders. And I am so cool that I am certain that I can use this one border for the whole thing. And I originally planned on using it to put down at the bottom of the picture as well, but changed my mind. Not because I didn't have the piece of border, because I did. I was correct that I would have enough to do all 3 spots on the right side, the left side, and at the bottom. But I decided I didn't want that. I wanted something a little more like the sketch, with a bigger groove, or a bigger scallop, I guess is the appropriate term to use. So I just tucked that piece back on because, you know, I save everything. And then I measure the space underneath the pictures because I want to make sure. Oh, is that what I'm doing next? Yes. Okay. So I measure the space underneath the picture mat and determine what I'm going to, if I want to use that blue scallop, which I do. And it's got little cutout holes in each scallop. So I'm going to pop all those out. And yes, I save those because I'll use them as like little scattering pieces in the future. And, yep, I'm extra. So extra. So, I get all of that taken care of. I trim it up to where it's going to fit down there. And then it takes me a second to get it lined up because I want the holes in the scallops to be on the pink fully, that pink paper, so that it's not like part pink, part brown, because at this point I'm not sure if I'm going to fill those or leave the pink to show through. So I fight with this thing for a little longer than I should, and finally get it laid down to where it's a smidge off somehow. I don't know, because I eyeball things more than actually measure, because that's just how I am. You'd think being OCD I would like measure, but I also have ADD. I don't know if y'all know that. You should after you've watched any of my videos. So the ADD and the OCD go really well together in a lot of situations, because like my job is perfect, but yeah. Anyway, so back to the layout. So now that I have all of that down there, I want to figure out this, up at the top, they have like a little file folder tab. And I do have file folder tabs, and I looked at some of them. None of them really matched well because they're from like multiple collections. And this is one of those stickers on that big 12 by 12 sheet that I'm wanting to use because I've had them forever. So I cut the blue part off because it was going to be tucked in under anyway, so I might as well save it for another thing. Because, you know, that's the way I am. So I tucked that in there, and I did put some double-sided tape on it because like I said, I have had these 12 by 12 sticker sheets for many years, maybe when my daughter was in elementary school, and she is out of high school, so many years. So I tucked that in there, and my plan is to put the date on there. I do not do that on camera because I had to look up the date and didn't want to take any more of your all's precious time. And then I took this circle with the apple on it, which came from that same set. So the green there matches the green right above it. Oh, look, I pointed at it just in time. And so now I'm trying to figure out some things I want to put on here to embellish. And this, if the words on here were not curved, I would have put it up on that strip, because it says things like making memories, back to school, stuff like that. I could have put that up there if it was straight, but they're all curved, or they're like corners for pictures and stuff. So instead I pull the little tags that match the borders that I put on, and I haven't decided if I want to do anything on them other than tuck them in places. And since there's a smidge of hot pink on the bottom, but at the end of my border, I wanted to put a piece there just to cover my boo-boo, because I'm real good at that. The boo-boo making and the boo-boo fixing. So I look at this, and yes, I know it said 6th grade and my son is going into 7th grade, but there are a lot of non-grade level 3D embellishments on there, and I really wanted to use something that came off the page. I do end up finding some things, and I can't remember if I do that on camera or not, because I've done a little bit on this page since I turned the camera off. So I'm trying to debate on what I want to do. Get my blue, I ordered Muji pins. However, when I put them in my basket, I did not on Amazon, or my wish list on Amazon, I did not notice it said Muji-like. So they are not official Muji pens. They are off-brand Muji pens. I love the way they write. I hope they stand up to the test of time. I have no idea. Most everything written on the package is in some Asian language that I obviously cannot read. So, but I like them, and it's not on a picture or anything, so if it fades, it fades. Hopefully it doesn't, but I do like the pens, and I like having multiple colors, and I have some Zig memory pens that I use a lot as well, but these have a thinner point, and I like the way that they work on this paper, especially with it's smooth paper. So I just make a little journal about it being Jameson's first day back at the school. We went for orientation. He got to meet his teachers. He was excited to reunite with his friends, and they enjoyed Kona Ice, and I stood in line for some tasty tacos and another food truck. So now I'm looking over the sketch, making sure I have everything. I'm like, okay, I've got everything that's on the sketch. I'm happy with this, but it needs something. So I get out my infamous box of school stuff that I feel like it never, ever, ever diminishes. I mean, I scrapbooked my daughter's entire school career. I do have some things for elementary school that I did not scrapbook I need to go back for. But my son's, I mean, I made an entire book for his elementary school career, and it is massive. So, anyway, pull a couple things out. This little globe that says nice, because I know my son was super excited to be reunited with his friends. And I decide, even though he is not on a school bus, this is not this is not back, driving to school. He is going to be on the school bus, and where that picture right there is taken is where the bus is going to be going. I'm not sure if I do this now or not, but I end up putting a little stack of books and an apple on top of that bus just for a little cluster. And where those stars are, where the stars are up there in the top left corner, I end up adding some other little bits and pieces up there too. I put some stickles on, and I'm just pointing out that these 2007 numbers are going to go up on that border, or on that little strip with the date. So here is my layout. I will add some more stuff later, fill in my my tag holes, and that's it. I hope you all get a chance today to do something you love with someone you love. Happy scrapping.